The
San Antonio Spurs are NBA World Champions. Let the fiesta begin.
NBA Finals Late Night has its own beat. Hi, and welcome once again to the place to be for all your NBA Finals knowledge. Trey Wingo hanging out with Tim Legler, as is always the case. Now, in coming out with their second title in 5 years, Tim, the Spurs really had to sort of buck their own history. Of the three previous series they had won in this postseason, none of them had been closed out at home. And in fact, they had lost 3 of their last 4 at home. But you know what? None of that matters now because it is party time in San Antonio. In case anybody in the area didn't know, the Spurs were up 3-2. Tim Duncan looking to close it out in 6. The Nets looking to buck history and try and force a 7th and win it on the road. Early, Nets working it in transition, and Jason Kidd hits the three-pointer. Nets go up 5. He had 5 in the first, and then Tony Parker, who had a horrible game, did find David Robinson here, one of his 2 assists. Spurs down 3 early, but then they go to the MVP, Tim.
And there's a couple ways of playing Tim Duncan. This is not one of them. You can't let him catch the ball this deep in the post, especially Kenyon Martin, giving up so much size and strength around the rim.
Duncan was a man again. End of the first quarter, Nets by 6. Kenyon Martin missed, but Richard Jefferson, thank you for making the finals watchable again. He had 10 in the first. Nets up 25-17 end of the first, and that 17 means for the 6th consecutive game in the finals, the Spurs could not crack the 20-point plateau in the first quarter. That had never happened before. Tim's second quarter, the Nets getting some help from the bench.
Well, this is why they played so well in the first half. They had a very balanced attack. Guys stepping up. Aaron Williams with a nice tip in, and some unexpected offense from Anthony Johnson coming in, giving you 2 buckets. You don't expect to get that with Jason Kidd on the bench and Kmart with the towel, reversing roles with Anthony Johnson, who's usually slapping that towel on the ground.
And what about the MVP?
Well, Tim Duncan, he's the guy. He's the guy that makes everything happen. He draws attention offensively, kicks out to open shooters. He does it defensively, does it every possible way on the court. This guy's numbers that he puts up night in, night out in the NBA Finals are just ridiculous.
You mentioned defensively, he was a monster underneath. Jefferson goes up, and Duncan, one of his 8 blocks in the game. He was phenomenal. Of course, that's nothing new. Late second quarter, Spurs down 2. Duncan, bank open on Sunday night. He had 14 in the first half, game tied at 38. But in the final possession for the Nets, Jason Kidd, a huge 3. He had 8. So the Nets go up by 3 at the break. They led after 1. They led after 2. And in the third quarter, they continued to play great. Watch the Spurs passing, though. Again, Duncan, one of his 10 assists to David Robinson. Spurs down 3. Later in the third, Nets up 9. Jason Kidd dribbles through traffic, looking for Richard Jefferson here.
One of the best plays I saw in the entire series right there. Incredible he even came up with that ball, much less find Richard Jefferson with a no-look 40-foot pass for a 3-point play.
Nets on a 10-0 run, go up by 12, but then David Robinson jams it only at 13 and 17. Spurs still down 10. Still third, the Nets up 6. Speedy
was huge in this game.
Spurs with a 10-2 run, they're down just 4, and then in the fourth quarter, New Jersey fans, please look away. Steven Jackson missed his first 3 threes. He hit that one. The Spurs, their first lead of the game. They're on a 14-0 run. Kmart was just awful. 3 of 23 shooting. Spurs next possession. One more time, Jackson.
Absolutely. Duncan finding people right there. Nets slow in the rotation, and when his 3-point shooter hits one, you know he's going to hit the next one. Got the rhythm.
Spurs up 8, and then Claxton one more time. A 19-0 run by the Spurs. They're up 10. In that 19-0 run, Tim Duncan did not score a point. Not a point. The Nets are bumming. The champagne is chilling. Kevin Willis, after 3,000 years in the league, is finally going to get his ring. The Admiral goes out one last time. Jason Kidd for the 2nd straight year on the wrong end of the congratulatory hugs. David Robinson with his dad and his son on Father's Day. Your MVP, Tim Duncan, because of 21 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists, 8 blocks. The San Antonio Spurs, one more time, winning the NBA championship 88-77. So there is no asterisk, no smudge on San Antonio's championship resume. Duncan with his 4th 20-rebound game this postseason, your MVP to go along with the regular season award. You could say he's consistent. The Nets look like world beaters for 3 quarters, but you play 4. And in that 4th quarter, it was all San Antonio. As a team, the Spurs shot 46% from the floor in the clinching Game 6 against the 2nd-best defensive team in the entire NBA. Tim, pretty easy to see why the Spurs won this series. Tim Duncan, the 26th triple-double in finals history, 2 blocks shy of a quadruple-double. He's your MVP, the Spurs champion again.
You say, why do the Spurs beat the Nets? Because they have Tim Duncan and the Nets don't. It's really that simple. And, you know, Tim Duncan's been described as boring and, you know, not a guy that's a flashy, highlight-type guy. I hope people can start to appreciate the greatness of this player because he really only has one weakness in his game. That's at the free throw line. Everything else he does on the floor, he does well. He plays the game the way it's supposed to be played. And the bottom line, what MVPs are supposed to do, then he makes every single guy on that team a better player because he's out there. Guys like Ginobili and Steven Jackson and Speedy Claxton tonight. You know, David Robinson's able to get 17 rebounds. Why? Because Tim Duncan is going so hard at the glass, and you put 2 nets to block him out so David Robinson gets 17 boards. That's what an MVP does. By his mere presence, he can dominate a game, whether he's scoring or not, and Tim Duncan just does it every single way imaginable. He's so fundamentally sound. I love watching the guy play.
Yeah, and I think we've seen in the last 2 games of this series, Games 5 and Game 6, there's not a shot he doesn't have. That shot from behind the backboard, by the way, in Game 5, unbelievable. Dribbling, left-handing, 15-foot shots for a 7-foot guy.
Uses the glass better than any player in the NBA. He's just so sound. He has no flaws other than that free throw shooting. I'd like to see him get that up to the mid-70s. Then he'll have no flaws.
Yeah, okay, now we're really being picky.
Hey, you know.
Well, you got to have some flaw, I guess, to work on in the offseason for your motivation.
Great player.
Duncan, just the 3rd player in NBA history to record at least 20 points, 20 rebounds, and 10 assists in a finals game. The previous 2 were both Celtics, Bill Russell and Dave Cowens. Russell in 65, Cowens in 76. But that's all in the past. Tim Duncan did it in 2003. He's your MVP.
I thought this was the most poise we've shown all season long, and it's great working up to this point and having the pitfalls that we've had throughout these playoffs, and then to put a game together like we did today, where we're down the entire game, but we just keep playing. It didn't matter what happened. Guys kept playing. Guys were confident. We were all confident that something would happen, that we would turn the game to our favor, and it did. The guys made shots. A lot of guys step up. Speedy and Jack and Manu, those guys took over on the offensive end and just found a way to win.
This side in the back.
Tim, first of all, congratulations. Second, you're losing a key part of this team, and David Robinson. Can you just talk about what you guys are going to miss most about him and what you're going to remember most?
You know what, Dave's been an incredible part of this team for a lot of years, and I can't even imagine, honestly. For a second there on the court, last couple seconds, I really thought, you know what, I might not play with it. I'm not going to play with this guy again. I'm going to have to come out in this court without him, and it's going to be weird. I don't know what to expect, but luckily enough, our guys have done a great job putting teams together. RC and Pop, those guys have done an incredible job of getting players and putting them out on the floor and giving us a chance to win. So we'll fill a void, and we'll find a way to hopefully get back here.
Hey, one quick way to find a way to get back there is give the ball to Tim Duncan every time you have the ball on offense.
Not a bad game plan.
No, just go to him. Go to number 21. It's pretty simple. And go to ESPNnews.com and vote now on our website. Is Tim Duncan the most complete player in the NBA? Not the flashiest, not the jazziest, not the most exciting, but the most complete player in the NBA. Yes or no? We will share your results a little later on in this show. Duncan, tremendous. He's been tremendous in every game in the finals, really every game in the playoffs. Tony Parker did not have another good game. This was not one of his best games, but it was Speedy Claxton to the rescue. And you said in one of our meetings earlier today something I thought was very interesting. Because Parker played so poorly, it was easier for Claxton to play better. Explain that.
Oh, yeah, as a guy coming off the bench, which I did my entire career, you know, you sit there in the bench, you're watching the beginning of the game, and the guy that you're backing up, you're really watching what he's doing. You want to see, you know, how the other team are running things against him, what shots he's getting. So, you know, when you come in, you can spin it. When that guy struggles that you're coming in for, the pressure, the weight of the world is lifted off you because you know you're going to come in and make a difference in a positive direction because the guy playing ahead of you is struggling. And that's exactly what Speedy Claxton felt coming in this game. Tony's struggling. I'm going to come in and just make things happen because that's what he put me in the game for. That's why Pop put me in the game, and he came in and did a great job. And I got to give Greg Popovich a lot of credit. I hounded him in the last series. I was all over him for letting that lead get away in Game 5 against Dallas. But tonight he did a courageous thing, and that is he stayed with Speedy Claxton when his starting point guard was struggling. He played the guy that got the job done. A lot of coaches would have given in to that star player, got him back on the floor. Speedy Claxton played the last 18 minutes of that game and was just as big a reason why they won the NBA championship tonight as what Tim Duncan did in this game.
You know what? I think the way things worked out, Greg Popovich is fine. That you.
Yeah, I don't think he minds.
I'm sure he's feeling no pain.
He can keep his
right
Coach
now.
of the Year trophy, okay?
You got the Legler
it.
stamp of approval?
He can keep it.
Because he was waiting for that.
Did a great job.
Jason Kidd, by the way, still waiting for that first ring. He had a game-high 20 points for the Nets, 8 of 20 shooting, no turnovers, but it wasn't enough for the second straight year. Jason Kidd obviously very disappointed.
It hurts, just like last year it hurt, you know, but we lost to, you know, the better team, and you got to give San Antonio a lot of credit. And, you know, unfortunately, you know, we couldn't get over the hump.
I'm just thrilled that David, you know, ends his career with a game like that. His effort was really wonderful. He really dug down deep and showed how important it was to him to help us get this victory tonight. And obviously Tim played like an MVP, as he always does. So the two of them out there was nice to see, because David isn't able to do that every night. And for him to finish it off that way was really special.
Not often you see the head coach take off the shirt and the tie to put on the championship T-shirt. Hey, but Pop's got 2 rings. Say what you want. NBA Finals late night coming right back. Once again, the Nets come up just short. What happened and why? Stay with us. I tell you, watching this game for 3 quarters, the Nets did everything right. They led after 1, they led at the half, they led after 3, and then, well, then they played the 4th, or they didn't play in the 4th. And in one 19-0 run by San Antonio, everything Jersey did right for over 36 minutes dissolved into nothing. In that final quarter, the Nets outscored 31-14. The Nets shot 39% for the first 3 quarters, were 11 of 11 from the line, and then in the 4th, they shot 24%, missed both of their free throws and just 2 of 10 for deep. It is hard to explain how well they played for 3 and how poorly they played in that last quarter. You and I thought they both panicked a little bit when the Spurs got that lead.
They really did panic. I think when Steven Jackson finally hit that 3 to give him a 1-point lead, it really made those guys start to think, we got to get this lead back right now.
Yeah, they definitely pushed, and the snowball was going downhill at that point. So now the big question for the Nets is, will Jason Kidd be back next year? After the game, he addressed that thought.
Can you say definitely that you will be a Net next year?
I can't. The door is open, and I got to play my free agency out. And, you know, I would love to, you know, be a Net, but I got to, you know, look at all my options.
Kid need to understand, he's just being smart about this.
Have to be.
He's not saying he doesn't want to come back. He's not saying he's definitely gone. He's being honest. There is a possibility that he could go, but he's been pretty adamant through this entire season that his first hope is to stay in New Jersey. So I don't want Net fans to be panicking when they say, I can't say it 100% that way. Let's look at the Nets franchise, though. Besides, obviously, re-signing Jason Kidd, what do they need to do to not only get back to this level, but get to the next level if they're in the finals?
Well, I don't know if they can, and I think Jason Kidd needs to look at this realistically. If he really wants to win a championship, I mean, realistically, he's not going to win a championship in New Jersey, because there are too many good young players in the Western Conference that are going to continue to win championships as long as those guys are out there, not just in San Antonio. You know, the Lakers are probably going to retool and come back. They still have Shaq and Kobe. You got Chris Webber in Sacramento. You got the guys in Dallas. These are young players that are going to be around for a while. The Nets will not win a championship anytime in the near future. So Jason Kidd needs to really look at that, because the Nets really lack some things. I thought they were a more complete team last year with a Keith Van Horn that can knock down 3-pointers and spread the defense, and even with a Todd McCullough playing healthy. This year I thought they were more limited because they have a ton of mid-range guys